Hello and welcome to the Holistic Living Show. Today I've got a special guest. Her name is Alex MacRae and her business is Tea and Transformation. She's going to be talking with us about the mindset and law of attraction, how to make it work. And she has a bonus for us as well, because I'm really curious because I actually don't know what this is all about. The secret sauce, Mavis, the universal shipping clerk. So I'm intrigued. I hope you are too. And I'm going to be bringing Alex in shortly. She also does a lot of, you know what, I'm going to let her tell you. Let's just bring her on here.
Hi, yes. Hi, Carly. How are you this morning?
I'm good, thanks. What I was going to say was that you do a lot of relationship, and I was going to say coaching, but then I wasn't 100% sure if that's how you refer to yourself. So maybe you can let us know about what you do.
Okay, so this course grew out of me being a working psychic. And I would say 98% of the questions I get when I'm working are about when am I going to meet him or the special one, or is this person the one? And I checked with my colleagues and their basic assessment is 98% of all the questions we get are about relationships.
Yeah.
And the other 2% is about business or career. So where this came out of was I just thought to myself, look, there's got to be a way in which people can address this. And I use this technique when I found the love of my life. And it's using the law of attraction, and it's being highly, highly conditional in the search process. So typically what happens is, we get together with our girlfriends, maybe we go out and we join a sports team, or we go out to a nightclub and we hope we're going to meet Mr. Right standing at the bar. Typically doesn't happen. Or you go to an online dating site, you set up your profile following their format, and you get to list 3 things that are really important to you, a couple of deal breakers, and hope for the best. The problem with that is that you leave out a whole range of options about what's important to you in a relationship. Everything from I'm a single parent, I have children, what kind of person is going to date me, through to your intimate relationships, education, relationships with families. I mean, it's huge if you start breaking down what's really important to you. And most of the time, the reason why we say you have to work at relationships is because in between the 3 deal breakers, or the 3 things you must have and the 2 deal breakers, is an entire range of who that person is. And more importantly, who are you and who is going to match you. So that's the course that I developed out of that, was being extremely conditional down to minutia you haven't even thought of. And
so really specific.
Being really specific. And it works. I mean, people find the person that fits them perfectly. So I say it's kind of a feminist perspective. I mean, I have a ton of books sitting over on my living room table there that are like, find the one. It's really all about you doing personal development work. Some of the big people in the industry, they're all about, this is how you text a person, with no conversation about, well, why would you text them and are they the right person? Or, it's kind of like, I feel like we're a sea anemone or a Venus flytrap waiting for the right fly to go by, and then we gotcha, and now we're not sure we want you. So, right. And you can just repeat the same mistakes over and over and over again. And what happened for me was I had dated the same guy for 20 years. He was just in different bodies every 6 months. Right? So there was clearly a pattern there that wasn't working for me. And a lot of it had to do with when someone paid attention to me, I was flattered, thought they liked me, and then we enter into the let's see if this is going to work and moving forward from there. And oftentimes great people just wasn't the perfect fit. So, you end up not doing well in the relationship area. So that's why I came up with this methodology of finding the perfect partner.
So the methodology that you have, it's suitable for anybody who's single looking to get into a serious relationship? Is that like finding the love of their life, or how's
it can be the love of your life? I mean, no judgment here, right? I mean, like, I'm LGBTQ2 and poly friendly. So, that leaves the door wide open for all kinds of iterations of relationship. But it really is, I mean, if what you really wanted was a friends with benefits, you could use this process to find the perfect friends with benefits. Or, as we're talking about these days, a holiday, so that you can fulfill the family's wishes while you're not attached into a relationship. Or
wait a second. A holiday? That's actually the first time I've heard that.
Really?
What is that?
I think it's a movie on Netflix called Holiday. And it's just about a couple that both have families that are like, when are you going to bring home your boyfriend? When are you getting married? That whole conversation. And so they just hook up and they go on dates for holidays.
Oh, with a family function. Oh,
right. So, and
I have to look that up now.
That's a really brilliant idea, right? So, I mean, but the thing is that the methodology works however you want to shape that relationship. So if it's a friends with benefits, if it's a holiday, or if it's a long-term relationship, it's going to work, because it's almost as if you go through the process and all the exercises and the homework. There's always homework. It's as if you're sculpting somebody, right? Remember Michelangelo used to say that it wasn't so much that he was actually sculpting something, he was revealing what was in the marble. When you go through this process, it's kind of like that. You're going to reveal to yourself who it is that really matches you for the purpose that you want.
Oh, cool. And so this course that you're talking about that you've done, is that it's an online course, I take it?
It's an online course. But of course, there's a Facebook group now that's just sort of an open group. And but for paid clients, because I'm just relaunching this Friday, the course opens up on Friday.
Oh.
I have a free giveaway that people can go and take a look at and sort of see, like, oh, well, what is unconditional love? See, because if you want unconditional love, you kind of got to know what that is for you, right? And most of us don't. We have this statement goes, I'm looking for unconditional love. And I'm that person who's always going, well, what does that mean? What are your expectations around that?
Mm-hmm.
So you want to sort of take a look at that. So I have a workbook that just gives you 38 ways to know you're in an unconditional love relationship, and then just a few questions to help you unpack what does that mean to you. So that's free. And then I have... Can you say
that again? Can you say that? I'm going to type it into the comments too while we're... So the giveaway is 38 ways to...
I think, what do I call it? I think I call it the Path to Unconditional Love Workbook.
Oh, okay.
But if you go to my website, there's a tab that says free trainings, and it's in there.
Oh, okay.
Like, I have a bunch of stuff that I just do up that I think is important that I just give away to people. But there is a course that's called The Path to Unconditional Love, 6 weeks to have your perfect partner. And that is where you're going to work and really start defining who you are, who they are, healing any past trauma from relationships. Because that, I see that a lot. People are so concerned they're going to repeat the same mistakes, or they don't know, how do I know who this person is because I picked so badly last time? Right. So it deals with those kinds of issues and really takes a look at the other two really important questions in a relationship is, are you ready to be in a relationship? and are you available to be in a relationship? And both of those have to be a yes in order to have a successful relationship. Because you could be ready, but maybe you're working 80 hours a week, so maybe you're not available.
Right.
Or you're available, but you have such huge emotional trauma from past relationships, you're just a mess and you're not ready for a relationship. So you really want to address those two issues so that you're healthy going into the relationship.
Right. And that's like the mindset then? Is that the mindset part of it? And
yeah, the mindset part of it comes out of the whole emotional healing thing, because it's, if somebody's hurt you, I mean, here's the thing with hurt, and this comes out of my, hypnotherapy training. There's an initial causal wound, and it probably was very early in your life, probably in high school for most of us, which was just a disaster. But every time,
I met my first husband, and we were together for like almost 30 years. Anyhow, so
some people do well, others not so much. But so what happens with emotional pain is you have this point where you've been hurt, and then every time going down the path of your life, you come up another situation that kind of emotionally feels the same. You take that pain with you, with the current pain. And so you just keep building this up over the years. And you have to release that and find forgiveness for yourself for not picking the right person, you have to grieve relationships because you were in love, you thought this was going to be forever, you had this special person that you were going to look after, they were going to look after, you were going to grow old together, and now it's not. So you have to grieve a future that's not happening. You have to forgive yourself and forgive them in order to move on. So that's like a big part of just being able to move forward. And then you start looking at, well, who am I? What do I do? What do I like? How do I know I'm being loved? Like, how does my partner show me love? Like, what do they do? Are they the person that sends flowers to my office? Or are they the person that gets up at 3 o'clock in the morning to find an open 7-Eleven to buy me NyQuil because I'm dying? You know what I mean? I mean, love shows up in all kinds of ways. And, thank you, Disney, we have a very limited view of what that means, so we have to sort of define that. What does love look like to me? If my partner is being loving to me, how do I know that? Right? How do I want them to show love to me? So, those are issues that you want to deal with.
Do you touch on like the 5 love languages in your program as well?
I don't. And I have to tell you that because of this perspective you can do that, but what it's telling you to do is you have to learn how to speak to your partner. But what does it mean if you know how you want your partner to speak and that's the person who shows up? You don't have to do any retraining.
Oh.
Right? So I don't believe that you need to retrain the person. Like, there's just that whole issue about they're okay, but they're not quite right, or they don't talk to me the right way, or they don't have great communication skills. Like, for some people, that doesn't matter, right? But if you're a person that it does matter to, then you're going to want to define, what does communication with your partner look like? How easy is it? How willing are they to be vulnerable and transparent?
Yeah.
But there are people that don't want that.
So I'm going to go to the comments here. We've got a few that have popped up. I've got my mom. She's always the first one to comment. Hey, hello. And we got Annie Matheson's here saying, hello, Carly and Alex. Hey, Annie, thanks for watching. And Jazz is here too. Hi, Carly and Alex. Hello, Jazz. Thanks for watching. And Annie she says she loves her relationship with her husband. Oh, that's awesome.
Bonus.
That's so nice. So nice. So I've got to ask you about the secret sauce, Mavis, the shipping clerk. We've touched on the mindset, we've touched on some law of attraction, and you go deeper into that in your program. But what's this Mavis, the universal shipping clerk? Let's get into that.
So So what you have to imagine is, if you're this is going to drive some people crazy, but bear with me. If you were going to go shopping for a husband, right? You would want to go to the husband rack, and you would look at the husband rack and go, oh, he's nice, but he's only 5'3", so no. Oh, I really like him. Oh, doesn't have a college education, so no. And so you kind of whittle down what your preferences are with that. But they don't have any of that in stock today. So you have to place an order. And you have to place an order to Mavis. Now, Mavis is that lady on the end of the telephone line that talks like this, honey. And you have to be able to tell her what size, what color, what material, whatever it is the specifics are, and you have to tell her, because she has it in stock. But if you forgot, say you wanted someone who had a college education, had a good career, was earning a 6-figure income, and you forgot to mention that you want them to be 5'11" or taller and have a full head of hair, she may send you everything you asked for, but he's bald and he's 5'5". So you have to be right. So you have to be specific. So when you come up with this profile, and there is a way that accepts, the law of the universe accepts positive statements only. So for instance, if you said, I want to go out with a non-smoker, the universe removes all the negatives and you end up with, I want to go out with a smoker. And that's what you get. Yeah. So you have to find a way around that, right? So if you want someone who doesn't drink alcohol, for instance, or is a social drinker only, you would say, I would prefer that they're a social drinker only, or I would prefer that they are alcohol free. So you have to work with your language, because we are so familiar with what we don't want that it's very difficult for us to translate that over into what we do want.
And what I find is when we use like the negative, like, well, I don't want this, this, and this. Yep. It's like the universe doesn't hear the don't part of it and
delivers everything else. Yeah. So
whether that's like relationships or just anything in general, because I have noticed that that's a little bit of a glitch in the system, or one that it's like a workaround. So when we say, well, I don't want this, it's like, no, that you got to flip that around and turn it more into
you have to. And it does take some work, because we often talk about what we don't want in relationships. And that's why we have to work at them. Now, I will tell you, having found my perfect partner through an online dating app many years ago, it's not like we never argued. We did. He tended to be slightly more conservative than me. And of course, I'm a raging lefty. So, we did have, arguments and such. But it was really important for me that he love and adore my children as much as I did, that he would be part of our family. And so he was part of our family, and he provided well for our family. And he had a post-secondary education. He was 6'4", full head of hair, bright blue eyes. I mean, he was everything I could have wanted. And but that doesn't mean that we aren't human beings and magically we're going to stop arguing and that there aren't going to be tough times. There are. So, it's not like life stops happening for you, but when you have the right person in your corner, you're in a much better position to ride the wave of bad things happening, because bad things happen to good people all the time. Yeah, so, you want to be able to have a partner that's going to grow with you, that's going to change with you. So, I mean, oftentimes I see people in relationships where they are on two different tracks, and I'm not quite sure why they're in a relationship, because their communication is really difficult. Because I wonder, well, what is it about your life that matches up together? So I don't understand why you're together. And I think part of it is that it's very clear to me that as a working psychic with so many people asking about relationship, that what we really want is to feel deeply connected to somebody else that we're special to and that they're special to us. And we desire that, we crave that, we seek it out. And sometimes it feels like any port in a storm.
Mm.
And that's why I think sometimes we're not as good at relationship as we think we are. Just simply because what we're doing is not gonna, it's just not gonna show up for us that way, because we're willing to accept anyone that looks like they're willing to accept us without much thought behind it. And where else would you do that? I mean, you wouldn't apply for jobs you didn't think you were qualified for. If you were hiring someone, you certainly wouldn't hire someone that wasn't qualified to be part of your company. Why wouldn't you take more care searching out exactly what you want? Right? So
people spend more time. Yeah. On making a decision about something that's so insignificant, like, and then they do with the relationship. Yeah.
And it's, I mean, and now we're in a time of COVID. So how are we going to date during COVID? I happen to think that if you were really willing to drill down with online dating apps, and, I mean, I've used a couple, now my partner passed away. He was the perfect man for me. So kind of dating is sort of like, those are pretty big shoes you're going to have to fill. But what I've noticed is that a lot of the eligible bachelors, shall we say, don't live in my neighborhood. And I'm clearly not interested in dating someone from the United States because I'm in Canada. And so
I'm not Europe or like overseas or
overseas.
You want someone in the province at least?
Yeah. Hey, Kelowna, maybe. But, Krista, you might be able to entice me with someone from Ireland. I mean, I have to say, the accent could be worth it. But you know what I mean? It's like the thing is that you have to be really, really clear about what you want. Otherwise, so why would you open up the funnel in the hopes of finding one when really you just want to narrow it down so that the one person, maybe two, that fits all that criteria is going to make it through the funnel and get to you. So if you want local, you want to date local, you want to use whatever dating apps are out there and set your geography really tight.
So is that like how, like when we're talking about this, so how are people formulating it and putting it out there? Like how are they doing it? Is it like a written thing, do you suggest, or just having it in their head?
No, it's a written thing, and there's homework, and we review it. So if you take my course, there's weekly Q&A sessions.
Yeah.
With
and
Zoom.
On Friday? You said the course launches Friday?
Course launches on Friday. Yeah. So I am busy redoing some stuff because I'm also providing people with daily, weekly lesson sheets, but also a planner and a journal so that you can keep track of what's going on for yourself. I mean, they're digital, but I've set them up so you can download them and take them to Staples and get them to print it off and spiral bound it for you. So,
or just use the digital copy too, I guess, if someone has a tablet or something.
Yeah, they can. And, I think that's great. Sometimes I'll do that, but I'm old school. Give me a pen and paper. It's really important. And I think that there's something that happens. I mean, it's that whole thing that happens in our brain when we start writing. Neurotransmitters start firing and really interesting things start to happen. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like that whole mind-body connection with old trauma. You kind of want to break that. And that's sort of that's reprogramming your subconscious. Trust me, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not like you get to say, I will give up, or I will stop, I will forgive. You kind of got to do that for a little bit to really have it cook.
Right.
So.
Well, that's really interesting. And we covered a lot here, but we are going to wrap up right now. So So I've dropped the link into the comments for your website for the Tea and Transformation, and that's where people can find your guide, The Path to Unconditional Love, which is your free giveaway. So that's awesome, and and thank you for sharing about how to be so specific and really kind of visualizing like Mavis at the other end of our request.
Taking the order. Yeah.
And making sure that we get in the right mindset and using the law of attraction, being super specific, but having a destination to send that to, I think can really help people in the visualization of that.
I do want to tell you, I have a couple of funny stories. I had one client who had, she'd been through a series of bad relationships. She had a couple of kids, and she was writing out her stuff, and really she was just in that place where she wanted to be rescued. And she found this lovely man, but what he did for a living was he was a helicopter pilot for search and rescue. So the universe also has a sense of humor, right? So that's always fun. There is that bit of a sense of humor there. She didn't specify what she meant by rescue.
So I'm going to put up a comment from Jazz here. Pure and over the top. Interesting thing. I was single for many years, and one day I wrote what my perfect man was. A few years later, I believe, I met my husband, who is amazing. And last night she was cleaning through some old books and came across the notepad where she wrote this down. Wow, talk about timing. And then we talk about it today. Thank you, Jazz. Thanks for sharing with that. That's exactly needing to write it down.
It does work, and I've there's some interesting ways. When I was going through mine, like I had to sort of, like I knew what I kind of physically wanted, but I couldn't define it. So I actually carried around a tape measure with me. This is really bad. And if I saw a gentleman who had really gorgeous shoulders, like, oh, I like that, they should be that wide, I would just simply ask them if I could measure their shoulders. There we go. Shoulders. This wide. Or if they were like really nicely dressed in a suit and I kind of liked the way it was, I would say, that's a great looking suit. Do you mind if I ask you what size that is? Because I'm thinking of getting one for my husband. And they tell you. And so you could write that down, right? So you can get very specific. And I have a specific physical type. I just do, So I was going for my type.
So Jazz is commenting about the little typo she had up there, tears and ears, actually. Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I was reading it, I'm like, well, I guess it could be tears too, but I think she did mean the ears.
It is. And I recently had a client who was living in Inuvik, very small community, and she was on, I believe it was Plenty of Fish. So we kind of worked with her profile a little bit, so she was pretty specific. And she met this guy who lived in Yellowknife. Great guy. They decided they were going to meet, and he flew her from Inuvik to Yellowknife. And when she landed, is this guy great or what? He had her booked for a cut and color at the local hair salon that evening. And the next day, he had her booked for a mani-pedi massage at the local spa. And I'm like, dude, you're a keeper. They are now a couple and very happy together, and they mesh really well. And there's a few little bumps. She mentioned a couple of things, and I said, well, you didn't put that in. She said, I know. I said, can you live with it? She's like, I can live with it. I can hire someone to clean the house. And I'm like, bonus, there you go. So yeah, it does work. It works even in remote communities. You can still find someone who's going to be your perfect fit.
That's awesome. Well, Thank you, Alex. Thanks for coming on the show today and sharing about, law of attraction and attracting relationships. And these techniques, though, I think can be really applied to anything that people are wanting to desire to have come into their lives with the mindset and the law of attraction, how to make it work, and even using the Mavis shipping clerk imagery that you give. That was awesome. So thanks, Alex. Just stay in the studio there. We'll chat in a bit.
All right.
Thanks. So thanks for watching, everybody. And I do have an announcement. Starting tomorrow, if you're in the Facebook group the Holistic Living Tribe, this is, if you're not, this is going to be a reason to get in there. I have done a 12-part mini series on balancing points in the acupressure meridians so that it will bring about overall balance, increase your energy. If you're feeling out of sorts, or you're feeling like you're not really sure what's going on with you and you just need a bit of a boost, I'll be sharing one tip each week for the next 12 weeks, and they'll be free to watch in the Facebook group, but I will be actually only leaving each one up for 1 week. And so if you want to watch that, get in that Facebook group. Let me know if you need the link. I'll probably just post it in there again on the other thing for the YouTube people that are watching. And so it'll be 12 weeks of acupressure meridian balancing point that go to lead to 12 different organs, like the liver, the lungs, the gallbladder, kidneys, bladder, heart, pericardium, all of those, small intestine, large intestine, they're all in there. So and each one, I've kept it to under 5 minutes. So it'll be easy to pop in, learn the point, and then you'll get to be able to start working on yourself right away. So that will help bring in some overall wellness to yourself and some balance. These source points are good for releasing a lot of energy or building it up. They're quite magical. They automatically know what to do. So looking forward to starting that one up, starting on tomorrow, which is Wednesday, December the 9th, 2020. So be sure to tune in for that. I'll have an email coming out later. So thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.